It's Elias AK-47 roaming live from the gutter, and you're listening to the OTS Project. Shots will be fired.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the OTS Project episode 7. Theo, what's going on, my boy?
What is going on indeed? We have had a very interesting week. I feel like I've had a busy week this week. Still kind of reeling from all the birthday stuff since the last time. But, just been working out. Valentine's Day was yesterday. I spent it with no one, like always.
Same here, brother. Same here. Me, myself, and my dogs. That's about it.
Yeah.
Me
and
else,
the
though,
three Kermits I have in the background.
There you go. And your flag.
My flag, yeah.
Anything else you do this week? Anything you play, watch, anything like that?
I've been reading some more books this week. I feel like I've been getting into a little bit of a reading kick. I was reading Jeanette McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mom Died. That was pretty good.
Wow, it's a wild title, but from what
it's a wild title, but it's a very good read.
Great book.
I would definitely recommend. Yeah.
For sure. On my end of things, didn't do too much this week. Obviously, we went and saw Captain America. That's basically what this whole episode is going to be about. Other than that, I haven't really done too much. I did start watching, I think it's called Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the new animated Spider-Man show that's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just kind of was putting it off and wasn't watching. Not because I didn't watch or anything. I just it kind of slipped my mind. I did, when the first episode came out, I did turn it on, and I literally got 30 seconds in, and then I paused it to do something, and then I completely forgot about it. So yeah, I think yesterday while I was folding laundry, I was let me put on some background noise. Threw that on, and not gonna lie, I'm not very impressed.
Yeah.
So far, you haven't been watching it, I'm assuming?
I have not been watching it. I haven't really even heard anything on it, to be honest with you.
Right. So I was watching it, and again, it was kind of more so background noise as I was kind of doing laundry and some other things, so I wasn't sitting down and fully watching it like you're supposed to do. So maybe I just missed some things or didn't, I wasn't fully paying attention. But from what I did watch, what I did see, I don't know, I wasn't too impressed. The guy that is playing Spider-Man, I know he said something really stupid when it was coming out, something about he was scared it was going to be woke or something like that. So that immediately made me kind of go okay, dude, all right, buddy. But then as I watched it, I was kind of this guy is just trying really hard to do a Tom Holland impression, and he sounds nothing like Tom Holland. So it kind of just really threw me off and made me not care, because it's weird. I don't want to spoil, but it's not in the MCU, but it almost feels like MCU adjacent, because
right.
I think they showed it in the trailer. There's the scene, they literally recreate the scene of him walking into the apartment in Civil War, but instead of Tony Stark being there, it's Norman Osborn. So it's almost like MCU adjacent, and I also just don't know how I feel about that. I feel like it's I don't know, it just seems weird. It just feels off. The whole show just kind of feels really off to me.
Right.
So I'm going to keep watching, because hopefully it'll, I still have a couple episodes that I didn't watch, and then there's still some episodes to come out. So I'm going to keep watching, and I'll have some more thoughts on it as it goes on. I hope it gets better, but yeah, so far I'm really not impressed. This is my least favorite Spider-Man thing I may have ever seen, to be honest with you.
All right.
So, yeah, other than that, though, yeah, haven't really done too much. Just been hanging out. Tried a new Mexican place. That was other than seeing Captain America, trying this new Mexican place was the highlight of my week. So yeah, pretty chill week for both of us. But we did see Captain America Brave New World, and that is basically going to be the topic of this week's episode. We're going to kind of review it, but I also thought, let's just, other than just reviewing it, we'll throw in our thoughts in general. We'll throw in, some theories, maybe some ideas that we have, things like that, about where some of the characters might go or where the story might go or things like that. So it will be a spoiler review for those that are watching this podcast that have not seen it yet. This is going to be a spoiler review. We did our out of theater kind of reaction that is on my Twitter. It's also on, I believe, my YouTube page, OTS Bridger, Kyle Bridger, whatever it is. So if you want a kind of spoiler-free review, that's probably the most you're going to get. Because, yeah, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. We're going to basically talk about the whole movie. So, yeah, if you're watching and you haven't seen it yet, don't watch. Pause it. Pause the episode right now. Go on your phone, go on your Regal app, your Cinemark app, your AMC app, find the next showtime, book the tickets, get in your car, go to the theater, see the movie, get back in your car, and as you're driving home, listen to the rest of the episode.
Follow those instructions to the letter.
Yes, 100%. But yeah, so yeah, it's spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, don't listen to the rest of it. Go watch it, and then come back and watch and enjoy with us. But before we get into that, we have a few little tidbits of news that I have added into our notes here. Theo, you want to maybe start listing off?
Yeah, we can start on some stuff. 2K25 this week, we've gotten more news about that, mainly showing off the new island mode that has been debuting. The island is debuting this in this title. Definitely looks a lot like the city from 2K NBA 2K, which a lot of people theorized. A lot of cool references that I've been seeing in different stores and whatnot that are like different nods, like different tag teams and other wrestlers throughout history and whatnot.
Yeah, I saw one. There's like a damage control computer store, which I thought was incredible. Yes, I know. I know awesome. There was like a Damien and Rhea tattoo shop or something like that. But let's give our thoughts on it real quick before we hop into the next little bit of news. Like, what are you hoping for? What are you expecting? What are you scared of? What's your overall thoughts now that we have kind of full idea of what the island is going to entail?
I think my fear is the same as your fear, which is the same as everybody's fear, and that's the fear of this VC overhaul, or not even overhaul, but just economy
microtransaction hell
rising. Exactly, microtransaction hell. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff in here that you could do with like character customization, which will like port over to like create a wrestler and all that kind of stuff, which is very nice that they did do that. But,
yeah, I agree. That's a cool
like
feature.
I've already been seeing like a lot of the prices for a lot of the stuff. It's in like the 20, 30, 40,000 range.
Yep.
And matches will only really give you like 9,000.
If you want LWO basketball shorts, I saw it was 36,000. So
right.
God only knows how much the Cody Rhodes would probably cost the same, but God only knows anything bigger than that also has a big name attached to it, like Undertaker. It's probably going to be in the 100,000s. If you want Undertaker cosplay, it's going to be like 90,000 VC.
And you look at like the VC that you'll get out of like regular matches already. It's like 5,000 VC, so you're going to be having to play like a dozen matches or so just to really get some of the things you want. Right.
But one another thing I did like something that I think interests me. So I in general, my thoughts are I am excited to check it out. I think has the possibility to be a really cool addition. Again, the only fear is that it's going to be a VC microtransaction hell that you're going to be. I'm not doing it. Like I straight up like I'm not spending money on it other than the $100 I spent on the game. So if that is what I see it is, then I'll just the game mode's probably dead to me, or maybe not necessarily dead to me, but like I'm just not going to invest as much. But something I was talking to my sister Grace about. She loves basketball and she always plays the NBA 2K games each year, and so she's already on the train of like she understands the VC nightmare that NBA the city or the neighborhood kind of has. So we were kind of talking about it. We were playing Fortnite yesterday. We were kind of talking about it. Something that I realized though, I was like, well, at least for me, like when I've played the NBA games, I'm not good at the NBA games. Like I'm not, whether it's online. I mean, online is definitely not good. I'm getting killed because you're like a 76 against like 399 overalls because people have no lives. But basically, like I'm not good even in like the my career stuff. So that always kind of turned me off to my city in a way because I'm like, well, I can't even. I'm going into my computer games and I'm leaving with like a C average if I'm lucky. So like you're really not getting VC. But at least in here, if there's a story, because I know it's separated from the actual My Rise or whatever, but there is still some sort of story. So I would imagine there's going to be the CPU matches and stuff that you do. If that's the case, I feel like I'll do pretty good because I'm pretty good at the game in general. So I'm excited to see how well I'm going to do in that and how much VC I can earn by having a A+ match each time I play against the computer or whatever. So that's something that interests me for sure.
Yeah, but it looks pretty exciting. We're both definitely going to be checking it out when the game drops.
Oh, and also, I didn't add it in here. I have officially pre-ordered WWE 2K25.
Okay.
That was something I forgot to add in there. Theo has not. But yeah, I have officially pre-ordered as of, I think, 2 days ago or something like that, I have officially pre-ordered the game.
There you go. Let's see. Ricky Starks has debuted in WWE literally 1 day after his contract with AEW officially ended, or the 90-day
Crazy
clause
work.
or whatever that is.
Crazy work.
Which
Yeah,
is
I was watching.
Really great. No one was expecting that.
Yeah, I was watching NXT. I know you don't really watch every week, but I try to watch NXT every week. Yeah, I was watching, and I think like most people, because I saw people reacting, so everybody was kind of in the same boat because it was right after commercial. So we were all like, everybody was on their phones, and you hear like, I could tell the show was back, but I still was on my phone. But then I heard someone talking on the mic, and I'm like, who is that? I was trying to pinpoint who on the NXT. I'm like, is that Eddie Thorpe? Is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to figure out who it is. And I'm like, that kind of sounds like Ricky Starks. And as I say that, I was like, holy. So I think everybody kind of had the same reaction of like, oh, shit. I think it is surprising, but I think what makes it more surprising is that he literally, I don't know if he physically was released a day before or if it's just when the news officially broke that he was released. But in general, from the, 24 hours from the public at least knowing that he was gone, showing up on the other show, I think that made it a even bigger surprise, obviously. So, yeah. What do you think of Ricky Starks in general? Because we never talked about him.
I don't really have all that much experience with Ricky Starks, to be honest with you. I've seen like a few promos here and there. I think he's pretty solid. I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. Me and my coworker were texting about him when that happened, and we were just like, bro. It was just back and forth, the same bro message.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited to see what he brings to the table.
I have a little bit more experience with him, I guess. I've seen him. I've watched him a little bit more. I think he's great. I don't think he's like this generational wrestler. I don't want anybody to get out the pitchforks on me there. But I think he's good. I like him. I'm excited. But I don't think he's not John Cena. You know what I'm saying? He's not Randy Orton. He's not Cody Rhodes, really. But I think he is going to do really good stuff. I could see him being a really good, and again, do not get out the pitchforks. It's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong. I see him being a really good upper mid-card kind of guy on the main roster. Like, kind of like a Miz kind of deal where, like, maybe he holds the main titles once or twice, but I don't really see him being like Cody Rhodes. You know what I'm saying? I don't see him being Roman Reigns. I don't see him being like every PoE he's in the main event and he's WWE champion for a year. I feel like he'll have a few good runs there. But I feel like, yeah, he'll be like maybe more like a Dolph Ziggler kind of deal, even though Dolph Ziggler obviously deserved a lot more when he was there, but like something like that. A Dolph Ziggler that gets a little bit more, I could see Ricky Starks filling that role perfectly. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. It was very surprising. We do have Malachi Black and apparently Miro that there's rumors that WWE is already working on creative for, so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen there. Yesterday on SmackDown, I don't know, did you watch SmackDown yesterday?
I did not watch SmackDown, unfortunately.
Okay,
I missed it.
So Shinsuke was in the ring, and he was cutting this promo, and he said something like, he's that there's no one left for him to challenge or something like that. It started like my eyebrows raised up because I was like, oh, is Malachi Black is Aleister Black about to come out? Because like it was going that way. Shinsuke was like, I've been waiting in the shadows, and I have no one else. There's no one here on SmackDown that can beat me. I've gone through everything. No one's on my level, and I was like, are they about to pull like the double dip and have Aleister Black come out and like hit this man with a black mass? Didn't happen. LA Knight came out, but yeah, it did pique my interest a little bit because I also think that would be a really cool feud, kind of dark side versus dark side. Aleister Black versus
for sure.
Sith Lord Shinsuke. I think that would be really cool. So yeah, we got to see in the next couple weeks what's gonna happen if Aleister Black and Miro show up. I will be honest with you, I don't really want Miro. I don't really care. I thought he was cool with the Rusev Day stuff and whatnot, but I've never been a big Rusev Miro guy, and I feel like and again, I could be wrong. I'm not there. I don't have people on the inside, but I feel like his AEW run was very like, I feel like he was kind of politicking backstage. I feel like he was kind of, he had that monster run, and it just kind of, instead of coming off as like, hey, Tony Khan really likes this guy and wants him to be a monster, it almost came off as like Miro was only going to come into AEW if he could be like this unbeatable monster that never has to lose. And then he became God's favorite champion, which, again, could be wrong, but in my mental mode of being in the wrestling business 10 years and I've dealt with wrestlers, that was, to me, an instant alarm of him being like, if he's the one that came up with it, I was like, well, that's another way he doesn't have to lose. Because if Tony Khan wants him to lose, he literally can go, well, I'm supposed to be God's favorite champion, so why am I losing to Sammy Guevara? Which he ended up doing, but that's like the one loss he had, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
just from what it seems, his attitude maybe is just something I don't really care to see come to WWE. And also I've seen that Aleister Black or Malachi Black may have the same kind of mindset, but I feel like I don't want to say fall in line, but in a way, like, he would probably fall in line more than like a Rusev. So, yeah, I don't really care to see Rusev or Miro, but Aleister Black, I definitely think there is still some hope there and something that could be done. So that'll be cool. But yeah, going on to next piece of news, we have Michelle McCool going into the Hall of Fame. That was awesome. That was really cool.
Very well deserved.
Very well deserved for sure. A couple weeks ago, we talked about it. Everybody saw it. They had a town hall at the WWE headquarters where they were just talking about their normal, day-to-day operatives and whatnot. And Shawn Michaels and Undertaker surprised Triple H, unexpected, came out and told him, "Hey, we're the ones making the call here, boss man. You're going in the Hall of Fame." So I don't remember the exact show, but they Undertaker and Michelle McCool were on some sort of show on ESPN. It was like a early morning show or something like that, talking about something. And Triple H just hopped up on the screen there real quick and said, "Well, since they got me, I'm the boss." He literally said, "I'm the boss, so that means I get the last laugh." And basically told Michelle McCool that she's going in the Hall of Fame. So that was really cool. I hope that she was already planned to go in the Hall of Fame and he didn't just put her in the Hall of Fame so he could get back at his buddies. Which I would imagine she probably was already planned to go into the Hall of Fame.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. It was a cool surprise. Again, like you said, very well deserved. She during the Divas kind of era, I'm not, there are fans of it, but I am not like a big fan of the Divas era. Even though I grew up with it, it was kind of a dark cloud when it comes to at least the in-ring work. They still had the personalities, like the Bellas and Kelly were great personalities and they had charisma and they looked great. But the in-ring work during that time was almost atrocious. It was almost just really, really bad. Which is also not a knock on those women, because obviously you'll hear the story that a lot of them wanted to do more, and Vince or Bruce Pritchard or whoever, Michael Hayes, would be like, nope, stick to slapping and spanking and hair pulling. So not a knock on those women at all. It's more a knock on, Vince really being just a fucking weirdo. But
yeah.
during that time, there were some that were able to kind of, I guess, buck Vince and say, like, no, we're going to do what we want to do. People like Mickie James, Beth Phoenix, Michelle McCool, Layla, even Melina kind of got to a point where they all kind of just started actually wrestling and being like, no, we want to wrestle. Obviously, even before that, Trish and Lita were kind of the two that started all that. But Michelle McCool was really, long story short, kind of the standard bearer there for women's wrestling when it came to that time period. She really held it down, really did great work. I thought Lay Cool was awesome. As a kid, I hated them. I was a kid during that time. So when they called Mickie James Piggy James, I was pretty upset. But looking back at it, I'm like, oh wow, they really did incredible work. Not only as heels and to get people riled up, but their in-ring work was great. They were having solid matches. So very well deserved for Michelle McCool. And hopefully Layla isn't far behind. That would be pretty cool.
Yes, I was about to say, I'm hoping these other women that you mentioned also get into the Hall of Fame very soon, because they also do deserve it as well.
For sure. And then we have two more little things. One of my things I put there, but it didn't update. Give me one sec. But we got a new Fortnite season coming. Kind of almost like a random little note there, but we play Fortnite. I play it more than you, but you still enjoy the game. It's kind of almost like our family game. Like you, me, and Grace will always kind of hop on there and play it. So yeah, new Fortnite season. I don't know if you've seen anything about it, but it looks like it's kind of like street crime themed.
I saw the pictures you sent of all the characters that are going to be in it, like Sub-Zero and all that, and then I kept scrolling, and I stopped on the picture of the pickle in like the robber mask, and I'm pretty sure I just set my phone down and walked away. I was like, nope, I'm not doing it.
I guess in this season that they still have, there is like a pickle factory, so it makes sense, I guess, that this guy is a deformed pickle that came from this factory. I don't know, but I thought it was kind of cool. But I'm obviously really excited for Sub-Zero. I think that's what everyone's probably excited for. The season, again, we don't have too much info on it, but the street crime thing, I'm interested. It's something they haven't done before, so that'll be cool to see. But mainly, Sub-Zero being in there. Obviously, he's not going to be the only one. They're going to have Scorpion, hopefully Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Katana up in the item shop or something like that. Right. So the Mortal Kombat collab is the biggest thing for us. We're big Mortal Kombat fans between me and Theo. We love Mortal Kombat. So getting them in Fortnite is really, really cool. And last little thing, NXT Vengeance Day is tonight. We're not going to include it in our predictions championship. I think we're gonna keep it to just the main roster WPOEs. But after we record this podcast, I am going to record a quick little prediction video. It's obviously going to go out before this, but I think it looks like a good card. I know Julia versus Roxanne versus Bailey versus Cora. That's probably the match I'm most excited to see. I'm really excited to see what they do. Javon Evans, Ethan Page is going to be good. It just looks like a good card in general. So I'm gonna watch that tonight. I don't think Theo's gonna watch it. He's got other plans. He's too busy.
I'm so busy.
It means reading Jeanette McCurdy's book.
I'm onto a new book now. I've finished that book. That was a quick read. I swept through that.
Gotcha. Right. So yeah, NXT Vengeance Day tonight. I'm excited for it. It looks like a good card. And other than that, I think that's all the kind of news and notes and tidbits. And now I think we can get into our Captain America Brave New World review, discussion, whatever we want to call it. So Theo, you wanna? I got a good amount of stuff listed here. On my little notes here, it's less of kind of like some review stuff, more just kind of notes and stuff that I saw. So maybe you might have more of the heavy lifting on the actual review part.
I didn't exactly write anything down because I'm like it was 2 days ago. I'm pretty sure everything that I need to know is up here already.
Right.
But I will start off with this. When we left the theater, we recorded the post movie reaction to it, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. And then as I was driving home, I ranted about it for like 20 minutes to myself. So I think I'm dropping my official score down to 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Just
well, out of 5, where is it? Because we rated it at 3.
Out of 5, I guess math wise, 3 out of 5.
Okay. That's not. I mean, it's not too leap. It's not too big of a leap.
Yeah.
From
it's a small little change, but I feel like it needed to be made.
So what is your rant then? You want to recite your 20-minute rant to us?
I don't want to take up the whole episode time. Okay. I felt like my biggest gripe with the movie was probably, I don't know, Sam's character to me felt like one of the weakest characters in the movie. Not because he didn't do anything wrong, it's just that he felt very like kind of bland and almost cookie cutter. Okay. I feel like it was a lot of his dialogue. I felt like it was very like bland. I felt like he just seemed a little like uninspired, I guess. I don't want to say it's anything wrong with his performance or anything like. I feel like it was more of like a writing thing, like writing the dialogue. That to me was probably one of my biggest gripes with it.
Okay.
It's just it felt like he did not feel like how I should feel when I'm watching like Captain America. Almost. Okay. I thought he did a great job, like as like in terms of like fighting and stuff like that. I thought the fight scenes were amazing. I really enjoyed a lot of the fight scenes. That scene where flies.
There was a few times in those fight scenes where you and I audibly were like, "Oh,
yeah."
So I feel like that. I mean, that kind of depicts if it's good or not.
When you get a Captain America movie, there's always going to be good fighting. I'd say it probably did peak with Winter Soldier. I feel like the choreography in those fight scenes were probably the best we're going to get. But even still in this movie, I thought there were a lot of good stuff where, again, you and me were like oh.
Yeah, I feel like with him, his biggest, when it comes to the fight scenes, I think the biggest thing was the wings. I feel like the wings, not necessarily being added, because he already had the wings, but Captain America having wings, I think, was the biggest part. That's where we were saying, in each fight scene was either him slicing a car in half or jabbing into something and holding on so he doesn't get pushed away. Like, whatever it was, I feel like the wings were what really, like, were the standout for all the fight scenes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because there was that one scene where he, like, flies, like, kind of, like, through the jet wing to, like, start to, like, take them down and whatnot after they were, like, brainwashed and all that.
Right.
But, yeah, I think fight scene-wise, it was great. I just think, like, him as a character could have used a little more work, especially when there's other characters like Isaiah Bradley and President Ross, who I think definitely felt like they had a lot more, like, range and interest as characters over the actual main character of the movie.
Well, it's something that we also, I think I said to you in the theater, and you kind of agreed, was like Isaiah Bradley wildly was probably the standout of the whole movie from his performance,
yes,
but also from like where his character went. Right, like his performance. That actor, I don't know his name, but he gave the best performance in the whole movie. But also, like I think as a character, he had the best kind of arc, which was just really fucking sad of him being like, you know, like he stays to himself because he doesn't trust anybody. He finally goes out. He puts on the suit that he got married in, and was like, me and my lady got married, you know, all those years ago in this suit. They're having a great time. And then something happens that is totally out of his control. He didn't control it. And then, like, what really got me was, like, the fact that he was out in the, like, the rainy, wet streets on the ground being arrested in the suit.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the suit that he treasures. And now it's, like, disgusting, full of, like, mud and dirt and grime because they, like, threw him to the ground. So, like, it was just really, his character was just really heartbreaking because it literally was like, this man took one opportunity to step out of the house and basically got thrown right back in jail. And then was like, and then they're going to go for the death penalty. And I'm like, he didn't even kill the president. Like, he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. It was just over the top, which I understand.
It
I was
was
just like,
it
wow,
was
like,
very almost like one step forward, two steps back, almost kind of vibe.
right.
I'd say.
So it was very heartbreaking. So yeah, to me, he was the best character just because I was like, I guess his story I just resonated with more than anybody else's.
Yes. My other major gripe with this movie is how dependent it is on you remembering a lot from Hulk 2008.
From a movie that was 18 years ago?
From a movie that was 18 years ago that they have not brought up since that movie came out.
Right.
And have essentially kind of just like forgotten it. Now it's entirely dependent on you remembering that movie. And unfortunately for me, I don't remember much of anything from that movie. So they were bringing up things that I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember that. Who is this?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think people going into this thought this was going to be the movie sequel to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's not.
Yes.
It's not.
It's
the
barely
sequel.
it's not even brought up
It's
at all.
the sequel. It is literally the sequel to Incredible Hulk 2008. That is what that is.
Yes.
That's
what it is.
It is the sequel to Incredible Hulk with a little sprinkle of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's
it's not even a
what
little
it is.
sprinkle. There's like a 2-minute scene where it's like him and Bucky are like talking to each other. And this is the only time Bucky shows up. And they're essentially just having the same conversation that takes the entire plot of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Of
Which I think I pointed out. I was like, bro.
You did point that out, yes.
We had this conversation in the show. And then you said, you got to remember, people don't watch the shows. So
I'm
then
very
I
glad I
kind
said that
of
because it's kind of true, yeah.
Right, I kind of locked in on being like, oh yeah, there probably are some people that didn't watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So yeah,
but
not everybody
apparently
are
a ton of
crazy
people
nerds.
watched Hulk 2008 and remember
right.
it.
Not everybody are crazy nerds like us and watch every little product that Marvel tries to slip out. But yeah, I don't know. The Bucky cameo that got me excited. Bucky's like one of my favorites. He's in my top 10, so that got me excited. I was happy to see him. But yeah, his whole scene was kind of useless because it was like, it wasn't useless because like you said, it did make sense for the people that hadn't seen it, but for us, we're like, we literally had a whole show about this one conversation where Sam is basically being like, I got to give up the shield. I'm not good enough, and I'm like, bro, you've done this already. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Also,
I still
if you
enjoy the
haven't,
movie.
do watch the show. Please go watch
it.
it.
Yeah, the show was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I still like the movie. I thought it was still a good movie and whatnot. But I do agree with everything you're kind of saying. Like, there are some things. It is way too dependent on you watching a movie that was 20 years ago that nobody liked when it came out 20 years ago. So, yeah, I have noted here, it took 18 years to get Betty Ross back in a Marvel movie. And no one asked
You
for
said
it.
that in the theater, and I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right.
But the thing is, no one asked for it.
Yeah.
Like, no one asked for them to do that. Yeah, I don't know. Her character, I feel like, as crazy it is, her coming back would have had more of an impact if it was something to do with Bruce Banner rather than it having to do something with her actual dad.
Yeah.
Like, if she came back for a scene where she sees Bruce again, it would have had more of a maybe emotional and more just in general, like, a positive fanfare than her being like, hey, Dad. And which was basically all her scene was when she showed up.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, it's all right. I've hated you for the past 20 years because of everything you've done. But this time that you turned into the Hulk, it's all right, Dad.
And destroyed the White House, I forgive you now.
Right. Not only the White House, they destroyed the Washington Monument part of it, too.
Yeah,
so I'm
exactly.
like, all of DC, the capital of fucking America, is just like destroyed. So yeah, I don't know. I understand why they put her in there, and it's still cool to have her in there, but I feel like it was a little wasted, and maybe it was just too far gone. If this would have happened 10 years ago, where she showed up to talk to her dad or talk to Bruce Banner, maybe people would have more of a connection to it. But again, the fact that the last time we saw her was like almost 20 years ago in a movie that no one even really liked, yeah, it's just kind of random.
Right.
So, I have some notes here that aren't my real review. I feel like my review is just the same as yours. Like, I agree with everything you're kind of saying. So I have more notes that I kind of searched on the internet for about this movie. But what my one thing that I will add that you didn't say is the green screen. We talked about it in the damn out of theater reaction. That was my biggest gripe. That was my biggest gripe. We touched on it real quick in our out of the theater reaction. But yeah, the green screen in 2 scenes in particular. It could be more, but I just didn't notice it. But in the scenes with the cherry blossoms where he's trying to calm Ross down, when it cut to Sam, it looked fucking atrocious. It looked like, oh, we just threw this guy in a warehouse and we just took a photo of the street and put it behind him. It looked so bad. And then when he goes to the raft at the end of the movie and the post-credit scene, the same thing. When they show him, when it shows like Ross in the cell or the leader in the cell, it looks fine. It looks like, okay, yeah, they're in a cell. When it cuts to him, I'm like, he is not in the same room as these people. Like, they shot this 3 months after they shot the other scenes in a warehouse with Anthony Mackie on a green screen. Yeah, it looked horrible. That's my biggest gripe. It took me out. Again, I don't know any other times in the movie that it may have been like that, and it just slipped my mind. My friend Nova did point out to me that I guess when they're outside of the hospital and he's talking to Samuel Stearns, like, Sam's hand is just like blurry. Like, his hand is just like blurred out for some reason or something. I don't know what that was. So I'll have to, when it goes to Disney Plus, I'll look for it. But yeah, I don't know. So that's my biggest gripe, is that it completely took me out of the movie and I just started laughing. Because I was just like, what the heck? Like, I could have, we could go in my backyard right now and do a better job of putting you into that movie than they did for those scenes.
We should do that.
So yeah, that and then my only actual thing personally that I have was adamantium getting introduced. I think is a great way to kind of have the first thing related to kind of the X-Men or the mutants. Obviously, for those that don't know, adamantium is basically the metal that's fused to Wolverine's skull. That's basically what his claws are made out of. And yes, we have Hugh Jackman, but that's a different version. He's not the MCU's Sacred Timeline version of him. So obviously, adamantium being introduced is them kind of saying whoever the actor is, we don't know. But our version of Wolverine is coming. We don't know. It could be in another 10 years from now, but it's still them kind of reassuring us that Logan, our version of Logan, you know, the MCU version of Logan is on his way. But I did think it was, in general, a great way to kind of, that's I mean, they've said mutant. They kind of said it in Miss Marvel. They definitely said it in Wakanda Forever. They called Namor a mutant right off the rip. But other than that, we haven't had like a kind of direct, unless I'm missing something, we haven't had like a direct kind of, here's something that has to do with the mutants. So I feel like adamantium is pretty popular. It's pretty well known that that's the Wolverine metal. So I think them using that as like the object or the subject of like what the first kind of introduction is, I think was a great idea. And I think it was a great way to bring Tiamat back around for a good reason. They didn't like, for a while, people have been like, remember that Celestial that they just forgot about that's sitting in the ocean? So the way that they brought it back around, and it wasn't just like, oh yeah, Samuel Stearns just made that his hideout now. Like, that would be dumb. So the fact that they made it where, oh no, the inside of, probably not even just him, probably all Celestials, the inside of all Celestials is this material that's like a rival to vibranium. I think it was a really incredible way to kind of bring that character back around.
Yeah. It's also kind of funny how you do mention the Celestial, because that thing was sitting in the water for like 3 years straight.
I mean,
with,
yeah,
like,
it was.
No,
I know.
Everybody just ignored it.
It happened in Eternals, and then it wasn't like touched on, but I know in She-Hulk, there was like a newspaper or something like that talked about it. Like, there was a newspaper article that said like, why is there Celestial in the ocean? So from like the 3 years, the only mention of it was like a background little Easter egg newspaper headline about it. So yeah, the fact that they brought it back around is cool. And like I said, the fact that it's probably within all Celestials is cool because that kind of opens up, I guess, more possibilities of just more adamantium or more Celestials coming back around and whatnot. So I think that was pretty cool. So that's like my little personal things about the movie. The rest of the stuff I have here is all just notes and things that I saw people talking about or saw just online. So my number one thing that I already knew about is Seth Rollins was cut from this movie. Obviously, we're big wrestling people, obviously. So that one stuck out to me. I remember seeing set photos of him on set for the movie. So I was like, oh, that's so cool. Seth Rollins is going to be in a Marvel movie. He's going to be in the new Captain America movie. And then I saw reports that he got cut, and that he was talking about it, and I think he was on Chris Van Vliet doing an interview or something like that, and he was asked about it, and he said straight up, like, no, I'm not pulling like Andrew Garfield. I genuinely am not in that movie. I was in the movie, but I'm not in it anymore. So from what I gather, he basically was playing Giancarlo Esposito's character. Like, he was Sidewinder, and I guess once they officially got Giancarlo on board, they basically just refilmed all the scenes. So basically, I'm imagining that any of the scenes we saw him in were going to be Seth Rollins. So I thought that was interesting that, like, the scene on the street, which I think is what I saw the set photos of, was him on a street. So I'm like, okay, so the scene where he kind of jumps him when he's driving would have been Seth Rollins. The scene in the beginning would have been Rollins. So it's not a loss. Obviously, Giancarlo is obviously a better actor than Seth Rollins. And I'm glad we have him there. But it would have been really cool to see Seth Rollins in that role and see him kind of branch out into acting, I guess. And I mean, he was like a side character, but he still had a pretty prominent role. Like, he didn't just show up in the first 5 minutes. Like, he was throughout the movie and whatnot. Right. So yeah. So
if anything, I was kind of wanting more of his character. That's how that's how invested I was with his character. I was like, give me some more. He seems pretty interesting.
Well, to add to that, I know when Giancarlo kind of got cast, it was before the news broke that he had gotten cast. It was where they kind of started like getting the ball rolling, I guess. He was at some sort of con, and he was doing like his panel, and someone asked him like, what's going on with Marvel? Because there was obviously already the rumors that they were reportedly wanting him for something, but we just didn't know. You know, I mean, there was one point people were saying he was going to be Norman Osborn, he was going to be the new Kang, like all this different stuff. So someone asked him about it, and he said like, oh, well, we found the role. He's going to be in a movie, but then there's going to be a show after. And then shortly after, a couple months after, we found out he's playing Sidewinder, and obviously was in the movie. So I'm intrigued. Obviously, he's coming back, which I figured anyways. They're not going to cast Giancarlo in a role to do one movie as a side character, then never see him again. So I'm intrigued to see where he returns. You know what I'm saying? Like, what show he's talking about. I don't think it's going to be a Sidewinder show. You know what I'm saying? But whose show is he going to be the villain of is really what I'm intrigued to see. So that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye out on and maybe think about and theorize a little bit on whose show he might show up in. So that's something that's really cool. Amadeus Cho. Do you know who Amadeus Cho is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
So he's like a teenage kind of scientist who, in the comics, ends up becoming like Hulk, but I think his name is like Bulk or something like that. Horrible name. But so he's like, in the comics, I guess he kind of becomes like the protege of Bruce Banner, and then he himself becomes into his own version of Hulk. He was also cut from the movie. Apparently, there was a scene where Sam goes to Stark, like he goes to Stark Tech, and he needs something. He needs Stark Tech, or he needs intel, and he basically is working directly with a kid who then reveals that his name is Amadeus Cho. So he was cut from the movie. Apparently the scene, like they filmed the scene and everything like that. Apparently it was just really awkward when they tested it. It was just really weird and awkward, and the guy that they cast to be him is just like, I guess, a really shitty actor. And so the whole scene just sucked. So they cut it. So that's another thing I thought was interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if they're going to recast that character and kind of throw him in somewhere else. I know he is a character that a lot of people like, so I'd imagine they're going to try and find a way to repurpose him and throw him in somewhere else. Other than that, the only I have two more things here. Isaiah Bradley's grandson, he was also cut from the movie. He was in the show. He was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was also cut from the movie. I don't know what he was gonna do, but I think they legitimately filmed scenes with him. It may have been just one scene where they were at Isaiah's house, and obviously if he's at his house, chances are his grandson's gonna be there. But I know that the actor was like on set, and they did film something, and then for some reason they like cut the scene. So yeah, Elijah Bradley, who was in the show, the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, was also cut from the movie, which is kind of sad because he was pretty cool in the show. I know people liked him, and I think in the comics he does become a hero, like he becomes a character. So a lot of people are already wanting. I don't remember the name of the superhero he becomes, but him showing up in the show, I know that people want him to come back so that he can become that character. So yeah. And the last thing is this is just a lot of cut stuff, but also they did reshoot the movie like 4 times. So last one is that there is a cut funeral that is actually in the trailers. It's in every trailer. There's a shot of Sam at this funeral that is then just cut. And so I was wondering what it was, and I did a little bit of research, and I saw set photos of Betty Ross at the same funeral. So I'm assuming there's a version of the movie where, like, Thunderbolt Ross dies instead of getting thrown in the raft. So that's another thing that it's just a small thing that I thought was interesting there. Betty probably, that would have been where she shows up. Instead of showing up at the raft, she would have shown up at her dad's funeral, which is pretty sad. But yeah, so it makes you think maybe they still have plans to bring Harrison Ford back for something, or I could see it being like Harrison Ford agreed to sign on to do this one movie as long as he dies, but then as they were filming it, he changed his mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, he may have been having the time of his life and then been like, all right, well, you guys are going to reshoot this anyway, so let's reshoot it and just not kill my character off. I don't know. But that's kind of all I had noted. Just a lot of stuff that was cut, a lot of stuff that was altered. So yeah, I don't know. You got any other thoughts on that?
Definitely a lot of cut content. I do want to go into probably my favorite part of the movie. Well, not exactly like a favorite scene, but just like idea, I guess. It's not very often. It's only like a few times, I'd even say, because in most of these MCU movies, it's like just superhero action. That's like the genre of the movie. But very few times they'll have like a subgenre introduced. Like with Multiverse of Madness, it was also kind of like a horror movie in there a little bit. In this one, they kind of went with a little more of like a mystery sort of angle, and I very much so enjoyed that. I very much like how they tackled that kind of subgenre, especially when it's connected to like all this world politics stuff and all this espionage going on at the same time. I think it all connects to each other very well, and it's very reminiscent of like Winter Soldier and Civil War and all the other Captain America movies. And I hope if they do make more Captain America movies, they kind of stick within that subgenre because it works very well with the character.
Yep. Yeah, so you're referring to mainly like the Camp Echo 1 or whatever stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Where they go to
the kind of stuff? Like a little bit of that, and more so, well, actually, yeah, just that. Just him and, well, that camp Joaquin. And the guy in there that I can't remember the name of.
Who? Are you talking about Joaquin or are you talking about Sam Stern?
Sam Stern, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I like that part.
He's like the mastermind of the whole thing. It's like pulling strings and all that kind of stuff. Right,
which is cool. There was another thing, too. I saw that his design also changed. I thought he looked like shit. I thought he looked horrible.
He did look like shit, yeah.
I mean, obviously he's supposed to look like shit, but I'm saying the actual design I didn't like. I thought it looked stupid. His original design, I think I may have sent it to you on X. It almost looks a little more Frankenstein-y, but I liked it more. Where he just was, his skin was green, but instead of having like his brain protruding through his skull, it was just like he just had an enlarged head, which is more so in the comics how he is. And I like that design a lot more. I wish they would have stuck with that because, I was not a fan of how he looked in the movie.
Yeah, he looked terrible in the movie.
Yeah.
Both purposefully and unpurposefully.
Right. Yeah, I'd say that was probably like my favorite part too. I like the suspenseful kind of what is it like with these movies? It's like the government corruption kind of thing. Because even like with the character Ruth, who didn't really do too much. I liked her. I thought she was cool, and I do want to see her come back, but she didn't do too much. But it was like points where I was like, is she on our side or the other side? Like, I had no clue, because it's like she does one thing that, you know, helps Sam, and then she does another thing that totally screws Sam over. So I'm like, I don't know. So the fact that I was in this movie being like, I have no clue what this character's going to do, made me really enjoy her character, and enjoy, like, the, like you said, like, the kind of spy, espionage, corrupt government kind of mystery, suspense, thriller type deal. I enjoyed.
Right. Especially when all of that kind of leads to the climax of, like, America and Japan pretty much fighting over this celestial island.
Right.
And they're, like, launching missiles at each other, and Sam's trying to, like, get them out the sky and all of that and whatnot.
Mm.
And you have, like, American fighter pilots who are being brainwashed by Sam. It's all very engaging and interesting, and it builds up very well throughout the movie.
Mm. What did you think of Joaquin Torres?
The Falcon? Or the new Falcon, I guess? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I like this character. I thought he seems like a pretty good sidekick, I'd say.
Yeah.
Kind of akin to how Sam was when he first met Captain America. I think it's a similar situation here.
I feel like he was definitely the comic relief for the movie. He was definitely because he was constantly like making jokes or doing stuff that turned into a joke and whatnot. So he was definitely the comic relief, which obviously I feel like you don't need it in every movie, obviously, but all these Marvel movies have some sort of comedy laced throughout them. Even a Multiverse of Madness that's like a dark horror movie still had jokes in it, you know. So
yeah,
him being the comic relief made sense. It was funny. All his stuff was genuinely funny. Whether
he brings
making
a sense of like lightheartedness to the to this movie.
Whether he was making an actual joke or he like knocked out those guys and he was like, "Did anybody? Nobody saw that? Oh, okay." I was like, "That's great. That's hilarious." So yeah, I like
the scene where he pulls off the film on Isaiah's phone.
Yeah. And Isaiah's like, "Maybe I wanted that there." Yeah, it was good. So yeah, there. For both of us, I think it's like 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. Like it's middle of the road. I know Wyatt, our boy Wyatt, saw it. He gave me the kind of saying that he gave like a 6 out of 10. Our friend Nova, he said he loved it. He thought it was an incredible movie. But yeah, I feel like it definitely still doesn't get the hate that it was getting before the movie came out. I don't see like everyone was like shitting on this movie, and I feel like it's just common practice at this point with every Marvel movie that people are gonna just turn on it before it's even out. I feel like even Deadpool and Wolverine was so hyped up, and I still saw people talking negative about it. So people are just wanting something to complain about and cry about, I guess, is really what it is. I don't see the hate. Because even, like, for me, what really got me, I love Eternals, and it pissed me off when everyone, like, went and just review-bombed Eternals. So that got me. But what really got me was the Marvels, because I love the Marvels. That's one of, like, that's probably in my top 10 MCU movies. I thought it was an incredible movie. I thought it was great. And I also thought it was, like, very digestible. It was, like, it's only an hour and a half, but it also flies by, so it feels like maybe it's just an hour-long movie. So it's very digestible. I saw that movie in theaters probably like 4 times, because I know I saw it with you, I saw it with Elias, I saw it with Dave, I saw it with Lexi, so I saw it at least 4 times. I thought it was great, but everybody just went and review-bombed it, hated it, shit on it, and it bombed at the box office. And then I remember it going to Disney Plus, and then everybody being like, "Damn, why didn't I go see this in the theater? This was awesome." And I was like, I legitimately wanted to like reach through the phone and just strangle somebody, because I'm like, this is the problem with you people, is that y'all are instantly complaining about something before you even see it. You don't go and see it. It review bombs, and then we don't get those characters ever again, or we don't get those characters in the way that they were supposed to. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, the fact that again people will sit and complain on this, and I'm like, this is a good movie. It's a decent movie. It's not the best movie in the world. It's not a great movie. I don't think this movie is on anybody's top 10 MCU list, but it's still a good movie. If you came over to my house in a couple months and I said, "Hey, you want to throw that movie on?" You'd be like, "Yeah, fuck it. Yeah. Let's watch it." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a bad movie. So it really grinds my gears that people will sit and will horribly trash something like this and not see it, because the box office matters, you know? Like, the ticket sales matter to the people that are spending the money, you know what I'm saying? The people that are making these movies. So if they go, I guess no one cared to see that movie, so I guess we just gotta put Sam in the back burner and just kind of, you know, use someone else. It's like, no, man, there's potential for Sam to be an incredible character, you know?
Yeah.
So,
especially because how they're setting him up to be, how he's like responsible for now forming this new team of Avengers and stuff like that. It's like, he seems like he's going to be playing a very pivotal role, especially within the next few years with the new Avengers movies coming
For
out
sure.
and whatnot.
Which is something I want to touch on too. But yeah, that's something, my little rant. It just grinds my gears that people do that, man. And listen, I'm not saying every Marvel movie is a banger. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I hated Thor: Love and Thunder, and I like most movies. I hated that movie, but I still didn't think people should have review bombed it and not gone and seen it. Still go and see it. And if you don't like it, okay, what's 2 hours out of your life? It's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else are you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's not that deep. If you're a Marvel fan, go and see it. If you didn't like it, you don't have to watch it again. But at least you still have the knowledge of whatever they did. So when it comes back around, you're not going, what is this? When Thor shows up, and I don't want it to happen, but when Thor shows up in Doomsday and he's got the god of Mochi on his shoulder, which is stupid, but it's just something I'm coming off of. At least you saw the movie to go, oh yeah, wasn't that one of the stupid gods that was in that scene? You know what I'm saying? Instead of now, people will go see it and be like, what is this? They suck. This is stupid. This makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? Which is stupid, but it still would make sense. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I don't want to go on a whole hour-long rant here, but it just grinds my gears. But I do want to get into some little theories, some little speculation. And so going back to your new Avengers kind of thing, who, if you have to put like 5 people that are going to be the core new Avengers, who are you saying will be the new kind of Avengers? Because I would imagine it's kind of like a Endgame thing where like everybody's going to be an Avenger, but there's still going to be like probably 5 people that are like the core members.
Yeah. That's definitely the more interesting thing, because I was thinking about that as well on my car ride home from the movie.
Right.
And I know they're kind of setting that up to be more of like a Young Avengers thing, but I feel like it could also work very well in where they get both Miss Marvel and
both.
Kate Bishop. Well, they're probably going to have both.
I feel like there's going to be a Young Avengers, but there's going to be like a new, normal kind of Avengers, I feel like.
Right. But that's also the interesting. Oh, you know what? I'm kind of thinking of new names now. Hold on a second.
All right. I'll give you mine. So I would say
I want to throw Shang-Chi's hat in there.
Okay, so I was gonna say obviously Sam is the leader, right?
Yeah.
Shang-Chi is
Sam's
someone that I also think Doctor Strange I feel like will be in there because he's just very important in general. I would say Captain Marvel is also just super powerful, and she's probably gonna play like the maybe more Iron Man-y kind of role or she'll probably be more the Thor, you know what I'm saying? Whereas Doctor Strange will be more the Iron Man. Sam is the new Cap. Doctor Strange is like the Iron Man. Captain Marvel's probably the Thor. Shang-Chi's probably like the Hawkeye. And then the 5th one I'm kind of blanking on. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like maybe they probably just
difficult.
get maybe it's just Bruce or they get She-Hulk. That's probably my 5th. Is either they get normal
She-Hulk
Hulk
would be
or they
pretty
get
good.
She-Hulk. Right. So I'll go with that. That's my 5. Sam, Doctor Strange, Carol Danvers, Shang-Chi, and probably She-Hulk. That's my core new Avengers.
That's a pretty good 5. I'd probably say the same thing. If they're going to bring back the Hulk, I would like them to do something with his character in terms of like actual development, because as it stands right now, Hulk is pretty much just Bruce Banner inside of Hulk's body, and I do not like that. I don't care for it at all. I would
love to see when Hulk comes back, his whole character is just him struggling, figuring out how to be a dad. Because he does have a son.
I feel like that's where they're going with it.
That he hasn't seen. I would imagine he hasn't seen his son because he hasn't been back to Sakaar in a minute. So I would love the idea of like his next appearance is him just being like, this damn kid wants another PlayStation. I don't know. I'm tired of spending all this money. That I would love to see him just struggling to figure out how to be a dad to like a teenage Hulk. I think that'd be funny.
I feel like that's where they are probably going to go with the character. I don't know. I just kind of want to see the Hulk be the Hulk.
The Hulk.
Because we know what the Hulk is capable of, and he's essentially just kind of dwindling down into like a comedic side character at this point, and I, for one, don't really care for it.
I mean,
so I would love to see a Hulk that's the Hulk.
If he were to show up in like Doomsday, which I feel like he probably will, I think that would be a cool introduction of his character, is where he's a dad and he's struggling to figure it out, but then somehow throughout the movie, maybe Doctor Doom does something that splits him and Hulk back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of reverts him back to being Bruce Banner with a monster living inside of him. I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be cool, yeah.
And it would be a drastic leap because you see in the beginning of the movie he's this fun-loving, goofy dad who can't figure it out, turns into this guy who's terrified to get angry because he doesn't want to kill everybody. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be a cool
Right.
leap within the movie. So maybe again, it's just theorizing. It's probably not going to happen, but I think that'd be a cool way to kind of develop his character a little bit and get him back to like this guy that has like a monster living inside of him.
Right.
So going back to it though, who would be? Do you know who your core 5 would be, or are you just staying with
I feel
who
like
I said?
I feel like my core 5 would probably just be the same as your core 5. I mean, they're
Okay.
pretty big names. I feel like at most other superheroes at this point would probably fall more in line with like a Young Avengers sort of thing, kind of like Spider-Man, Kate
Right.
Bishop, Miss Marvel, all of them.
And obviously,
feel
I
like-
mean, we know they're setting that up from the Marvels post-credit scene where
right,
Kate
exactly,
literally,
yeah.
or where Kamala literally goes to find Kate. So I feel like there is going to be like 2 teams. I think it would be almost kind of cool if in Doomsday, if the core Avengers kind of go to battle and they kind of are in a sticky situation, and the young event, like the kids, come to kind of save the day a little bit. Not
Yes,
actually save the
that'd
day.
be
I'm
dope.
not expecting these kids to kill Doctor Doom, but like at least get them out of a
Kate
sticky
Bishop
situation.
destroys Doctor Doom.
But at least distract Doom to get them, to safety and kind of regroup, and then you have the Avengers, the Young Avengers, combining together at the end of
Yes.
Doomsday or something would be really cool.
Yeah.
Because I could see obviously Kamala, Kate, Cassie Lang. I'm pretty sure we know is probably going to be in there.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be cool if they got Wiccan. I feel like that'd be cool
Yeah.
if they got him to come around, and maybe I feel like Spider-Man at this point he's not a kid anymore, so I don't know if he would necessarily be with the Young Avengers. Maybe he could be like kind of a mentor to the Young Avengers, you know what I'm saying? But also isn't Kate like 20 years old anyways too? So maybe he would be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
It's all over the place.
They're younger than the other Avengers. That's
Right.
for sure.
That right. They're not like 40-year-old Stephen Strange.
Exactly. Yeah. They're still
yeah.
a bit new to this, but like, yeah.
Let's cover the post-credit scene real quick too. I feel like that's probably the biggest thing, even though the post-credit scene kind of was boring. The story beat of it is probably the biggest thing to kind of come out of it, is that Sam goes to the raft to visit Samuel Stearns, and Samuel Stearns basically said like, "Oh, you protect this world, but what about the others?" or something like that. It's coming. I've seen it in every calculation. It's coming, and then it kind of just like ends there. Obviously, he's setting up Doctor Doom is coming. Doomsday is coming without actually saying it. So, yeah, I feel like that was probably the biggest thing, at least for the future of the MCU. That's probably the biggest thing that came out of it, even though it's probably the shittiest scene in the whole movie.
Yeah. Oh my god. It was so bad. I was like, I waited for this.
Right. So yeah, I like I said, I think I said it in the out of theater review. It did kind of suck, but at least it did give you a little tingle inside that okay, we're starting to gear up here, So I know they do have planned. I think this summer is when they're going to start filming Doomsday.
Right.
So obviously the ball is rolling. So I'm excited for it. I think we're all excited to see everybody team up again. Yeah. Anything else you want to kind of add to that?
Not really. Scene sucked. I didn't care for
Right.
it at all. I
Right.
would have much preferred. I just got this thought in my head. Do you remember the one end credit scene or post credit scene where it was Captain America and he like turns the chair around and he sits down and he's like, "So
Yes.
you got detention." I would have loved it if Sam did his own iteration of that.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been much funnier, much more entertaining.
But yeah, I think overall, you got anything else you want to add to this?
No, not really. Kind of solid movie, I'd say. Nothing too amazing, but I wasn't really disappointed or anything like that. Thought it was solid.
Yeah, well, same thing. I think you dropped it down by 0.5, but it's still in the same range, like a 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. It's a solid movie. Definitely go check it out. We're not telling you not to go watch it. Definitely go check it out.
Yes.
It's an enjoyable movie. You'll enjoy it. Yeah. Other than that, we're excited. We're getting closer to the Doomsday. We're getting closer to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be intrigued to see if there's anything in the Thunderbolts that may contribute to it, and we are kind of assuming there's gonna be something in Fantastic Four that
I feel like there's got to be something.
we know at least Fantastic Four is going to show up in Secret Wars. I don't think they're going to be in Doomsday. I think they're going to show up in Secret Wars as like the backup. You know what I'm saying? So let's at least see how they get on the road at least to getting to us. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Yeah, but other than that, I think that's the end of the episode. Our Captain America Brave New World. I almost forgot the name there for a second. Captain America Brave New World review. Solid movie, kind of middle of the road, maybe a little better than middle of the road. Go see it. And anything else you wanna add?
Check us out on our socials.
Yes,
we're
sir.
both on X at OTS Bridger at OTS Bebop. Also, make sure to check out the WNRN.
Yes, sir.
Graciously sponsor us pretty much every week.
Always. Yeah, they're awesome. I know Jesse's working on a few designs for me for 2K, a couple of championships, but I think if we get our idea of our shared universe mode, he's going to probably make some championships for both of us too for that, which would be really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. We have Elimination Chamber coming up in just like 2 weeks. It's not too far off. So we're going to have to do our predictions soon for that. So probably next week's episode, or we may just make our own separate video to upload. I'm not 100% sure yet, but be on the lookout for that, whether it's the next episode or separate video. Check out the OTS Project YouTube page. Check out my YouTube page. I'm doing some solo content over there that kind of also just ties into the podcast as well. So yeah, if you want more content, check out those two YouTube pages. And with that, we will see you next week for episode 8.